चलिए क्लास 9 चैप्टर 2 स्टार्ट करते हैं। इज मैटर अराउंड अस प्योर? हाउ डू वी जज where milk, ghee, butter, salt, especially mineral water or juice that we buy from the market are pure? You have ever noticed that what's pure written on the back of this? You can see the common person pure means having no adulteration, but for a scientist, all these things are actually mixture of different substances and hence not pure. For example, milk is actually a mixture of water. Milk is actually fat, protein, etc. When a scientist will say something pure, namely all the constituent particles of the substance are the same in their chemical nature. A pure substance consists of a single types of particles. As we look around we see the most of the matter around existing mixture of the two or more pure compounds. For example, seawater, minerals, soil, etc. All are mixtures. What is a mixture? Mixture are constituent by more than one kinds of pure form of matter. Constituents of more than one kind of pure forms of matter known as substance. Substance cannot be separated into other kinds of matter by a physical process. Substance cannot separate अलग नहीं कर सकते into the kind of matter by a physical process. कोई physical process है अलग नहीं कर सकते. We know that dissolve sodium chloride is separate from the water by the physical process of evaporation. हाँ, सोडियम क्लोराइड को जो है सेपरेट कर सकते हैं फिजिकल प्रोसेस और एवापोरेशन से उसको सेपरेट कर सकते हैं. However, sodium chloride is a substance and can be separated by a physical process into the chemical constituents similarly. Hello Ashish. Hello. Sugar is substance because it contains only one kind of pure matter and its composition of the same truth. Soft drink and soil are not single substance. Soft drink and soil are not single substance. Whatever the source of a substance may be, will always have the same characteristics and properties. Therefore, we can say that the mixture contains more than one substance. मिक्सचर में जो मोर देन वन सब्सटेंस एक या एक से ज़्यादा सब्सटेंस होता है मिक्सचर में. टाइप्स ऑफ मिक्सचर डिपेंडिंग अपॉन द नेचर ऑफ द कंपोनेंट्स that form mixture we can different types of mixtures. Activity देखते हैं और when the powder sulfide powder in a beaker groups it in different common salt sodium chloride and the mixture given component of mixture before the variation of we obtain the mixture has the uniform composition throughout the such mixture solution समझता है. Water and sugar water compare the color of the solution in two groups through the both we have obtained copper sulfate and sodium sulfate and intensity of color solution different. This shows the homogeneous mixture. We find the variable composition. Obtain the mixture which can physically distinct part of the non-uniform composition से mixture और heterogeneous mixture homogeneous में यूनिफॉर्म होता है और heterogeneous non uniform mixture of the sodium chloride and iron filling salt and sulfur and oil and water are example of heterogeneous mixture. Heterogeneous mixture sodium chloride, iron filling, salt and sulfur and oil and water are example of heterogeneous mixture. What is solution? Solution देखते हैं. A solution is a homogeneous mixture. Solution क्या है? Homogeneous mixture. Solution is a homogeneous mixture. Two or more substance can come across various types of solution in your daily life. Lemon tea, soda water, it is all example of solutions. Usually we think a solution is a liquid that contains either a solid, liquid or gas dissolved in it, but we can also a solid solution. And why is gaseous solution air in the solution with a homogeneity at the particles level? For example, lemon tea taste in the same throughout. This so that the particles of sugar salt is eventually distributed in the solution. Ly are the homogeneous mixture. Ly क्या है? Homogeneous mixture यूनिफॉर्म में होता है homogeneous mixture. Allow a homogeneous mixture of metals and cannot be separated into their component by physical method. ना इसको भी फिजिकल मेथड से सेपरेट नहीं कर सकते हैं. होमोजेनियस को फिजिकल मेथड से सेपरेट नहीं कर सकते हैं. बट स्टिल एन एलवाई कंसिडर्ड ए मिक्सचर बिकॉज ऑफ द प्रॉपर्टीज ऑफ इट्स constituent and have well compositions. For example, brass is a mixture of approximately 30 degree जिंक. ब्रास में क्या है? ब्रास में है 30% जिंक, 70% कॉपर. ब्रास भी 30% जिंक और 70% कॉपर. ब्रास में 30% जिंक, 70% कॉपर. A solution has a solvent and a solute as a components. The components of the solution that dissolve the other components in it, usually the component present in large amount is called a solvent. large amount में जो present रहता है तो solvent कहते हैं. And the components of the solute that dissolve in the solvent usually present in lesser quantity, कम क्वांटिटी में जो रहता है उसको solute कहते हैं. जैसे पानी और नमक को मिलाएंगे तो पानी क्या हो गया? सॉल्वेंट हो गया और नमक क्या हो गया? सोल्यूट हो गया जिसकी मात्रा कम है. एग्जाम्पल्स a solution of sugar in water is a solid in a liquid solution. In this solution sugar is the solute and the water is the solvent. शुगर और वाटर को मिलाएंगे एक लिक्विड इन द सॉल्यूशन बनाएंगे. उसके बाद शुगर जो है सॉल्यूट हो गया और वाटर क्या हो गया? सॉल्वेंट हो गया. A solution of iodine in alcohol known as tincture of iodine has iodine solid. Tincture of iodine has iodine solid को tincture of iodine कहते हैं. As the solute and alcohol liquid solvent. Aerated tincture of iodine solid iodine को tincture of iodine. अल्कोहल भी होता है, लिक्विड फॉर्म में अल्कोहल होता है. Aerated drink like soda water, aerated drink like soda water or the gas in liquid solution. This contains a carbon dioxide gas. Carbon dioxide क्या है? Carbon dioxide CO2 gas and solute and the water liquid as a solvent. Air is a mixture of gas in gas. Air is a mixture of gas in gas. Air is a homogeneous mixture of a number of gases. Homogeneous mixture of a number of gases. Its two main constituents are oxygen. Two constituents: oxygen 21% and nitrogen 78%. Nitrogen 78% or oxygen 21%. 21% oxygen, nitrogen 78%. The अदर गैस आर प्रेजेंट वेरी स्मॉल क्वांटिटीज. उसके बाद जो बचा वो अदर गैसेस है. Properties of solution. Properties of solution. A solution is a homogeneous mixture. A solution is a homogeneous mixture. The particles of a solution are similar or smaller than 1 nm, 10 to the power 19 meter in diameter, so they cannot be seen with naked eye. A solution is a homogeneous mixture. A solution is a homogeneous mixture. The particles of a solution are smaller than 1 nm, 10 to the power 9 meter in diameter, so they cannot be seen with naked eye. नेक्ड आई से नहीं देख सकते हैं. 1 नैनोमीटर में 10 पावर इतना मीटर. 1 नैनोमीटर में 10 पावर 9 मीटर होता है. 1 नैनोमीटर में 10 पावर 9 मीटर. 1 नैनोमीटर 10 पावर 9 मीटर. 1 नैनोमीटर 10 पावर 9 मीटर डायमीटर में. दे कैन नॉट बी सीन नेक्ड आई. और नेक्ड आई से नहीं देख सकते हैं, नंगी आंखों से नहीं देख सकते हैं. बिकॉज द वेरी स्मॉल पार्टिकल साइज. वेरी स्मॉल पार्टिकल साइज. दे डू नॉट स्कैटर ए बीम ऑफ लाइट. और ये स्कैटर नहीं करता बीम ऑफ लाइट पासिंग थ्रू ए सोल्यूशन. नॉट विजिबल इन ए सोल्यूशन. और ये सोल्यूशन में भी नहीं दिखाई देता. दे सोल्यूट स्कैटरिंग ऑफ लाइट नहीं होता है ना. स्कैटर लाइट नहीं होता उसमें सोल्यूशन. होमोजेनियस सोल्यूशन. सोल्यूशन द पाथ ऑफ नॉट विजिबल सोल्यूशन. A solid particles cannot be separated from the mixture by the process of filtration. और तो फिल्ट्रेशन से भी सेपरेट नहीं कर सकते हैं. फिल्ट्रेशन से मेथड से हम क्या करते हैं, सेपरेट नहीं कर सकते हैं किसको, होमोजेनियस मिक्सचर को, सॉल्यूशन को. द सॉल्यूट पार्टिकल्स डू नॉट सेटल डाउन व्हेन लेफ्ट. अंडरस्टैंड दैट इज सॉल्यूशन इज स्टेबल. सॉल्यूशन पार्टिकल डू नॉट सेटल डाउन मतलब सॉल्यूट पार्टिकल सेटल डाउन नीचे नहीं होता है और नॉन स्टेबल होता है. और सॉल्यूशन इज ए स्टेबल. कंसंट्रेशन ऑफ ए सॉल्यूशन. कंसंट्रेशन ऑफ सॉल्यूशन. कंसंट्रेशन ऑफ सॉल्यूशन. We observe the group of 10 the relative proportion to the solute of solvent can be varied depending upon the amount of solute present in the solution. They can be called dilute present in the solution. It can be called dilute concentration. Dilute concentration. Dilute concentration. Dilute concentration. Dilute concentration. Or the saturated solution. Dilute concentration are the comparative terms in activity. The solution often group of dilute compared to the group B. In is the amount of salt and sugar or barium. Barium chloride. Barium chloride. Barium chloride. Barium chloride that dissolve in water at the given temperature. Given temperature at any particular temperature. At any particular temperature, a solution that has dissolved as much solute as it is capable of dissolving is said to be a saturated solution. At any particular temperature, a solution that dissolves as such solute as it is capable of dissolving is said to be saturated solution. Is other word. When no more solute can be dissolved in solution at a given temperature, it is called a saturated solution. Saturated solution. The amount of the solute present in the saturated solution at the temperature is called solubility. Solubility. The amount of the solute contained in the solution is less than the saturation level. It is called unsaturated solution. Unsaturated solution. What would happen when you will take the saturated solution? Certain temperature is cool and slowly cool it slowly. We can infer from the above activity that different substances in a given solvent have different solubilities at the same temperature. The concentration of solution is the amount of solute present in a given amount of mass or volume. Mass or volume of solution, or the amount of solute solution is a given mass of the solvent. Concentration of solution, amount of solute versus amount of solution. Concentration of solution, amount of solute by amount of solution, or amount of solute by amount of solvent. There are various ways of expressing the concentration of solution, but we will learn only two methods: mass percentage of the solution, mass of solute, mass of solution into 100, mass by volume percentage of the solution, mass of solute, volume of solution into 100. What is suspension? What is a suspension? Non-homogeneous system. Non-homogeneous system like those obtained by group C conductivity which the solid are dispersed in a liquid called suspension. A suspension is a heterogeneous mixture. Suspension क्या है? Heterogeneous mixture है. Heterogeneous mixture in which the solute particles do not dissolve and remain suspended throughout the bulk of the medium. Particles of the substance visible of the naked eye, और उसको नेक्ड आई से हम देख सकते हैं. सस्पेंशन को हेट्रोजेनियस मिक्सचर है और उसको नेक्ड आई से हम देख सकते हैं. सॉल्यूशन में हम नहीं देख सकते थे. होमोजीनियस में हम नेक्ड आई से नहीं देख सकते थे. सस्पेंशन में हम नेक्ड आई से देख सकते हैं और क्या कर सकते हैं? solute the particles suspended through the bulk and medium particles of the naked eye से देख सकते हैं. सस्पेंशन नॉन होमोजेनियस मिक्सचर यानी हेट्रोजेनियस मिक्सचर है. Those are obtained which are solid dispersion and liquid dispersed in liquid called suspension. Suspension heterogeneous mixture with solid particles. हेट्रोजेनियस मिक्सचर है और इसको नेक्ड आई से देख सकते हैं. Properties of suspension. Suspension is a heterogeneous mixture. Suspension is a heterogeneous mixture. The particles of suspension can be seen by the naked eye. The particles of a suspension scatter a beam of light passing through it and make its path visible. The particles of a suspension scatter a beam of light passing through the. और ये स्केटरिंग ऑफ लाइट इसमें होगा. सस्पेंशन में स्केटरिंग ऑफ लाइट होगा. टिंडल इफेक्ट भी दिखाएगा. आगे देखते हैं. The solute particles settle down when the suspension is left undisturbed. That suspension is unstable. They can be separated from mixture by the process of filtration. What is a colloidal solution? The mixture obtained by the group reactivity is called a colloidal solution. The particles of the colloid are uniformly spread throughout the solution due to the relatively smaller size of the particles as compared to the To that of suspension, the mixture of liquid to the homogeneous but actually colloidal solution is a heterogeneous mixture of the mixture. For example, milk. Heterogeneous mixture, for example, milk. Because of the small size of colloidal particles, small size of the colloidal particles, we cannot see them naked eye, but these particles can be easily scattered beam of visibles. Scatter a beam of visibles observe the activity. The light of called Tyndall effect. Tyndall scattering of light. Tyndall effect. The name of the scientist who discovered this effect. Tyndall effect can be observed when the fine beam on the enter the room through the small holes. Small holes when the small due to the scatter of light with the particles of dust and smoke and air. Solution of copper sulfate do not show Tyndall effect. Mixture of water and milk show Tyndall effect. कॉपर सल्फेट टिंडल इफेक्ट नहीं दिखाता है. कॉपर सल्फेट का जो सॉल्यूशन है, कॉपर सल्फेट का सॉल्यूशन, उसमें टिंडल इफेक्ट नहीं काम करता है ना. काम किस में करता है? मिल्क में, वाटर में. मिक्सचर ऑफ मिल्क एंड वाटर सो टिंडल इफेक्ट. कॉपर सल्फेट में टिंडल इफेक्ट नहीं दिखाता है. Tyndall effect can be observed when sunlight passes through the canopy of a dense forest. Tyndall effect can be observed when sunlight passes through the canopy of a dense forest. In the forest mist contain tiny droplets of water which act as particles of light dispersed in air. Tyndall effect can be observed when sunlight passes through the canopy of the dense forest. Canopy of the dense forest. In the forest mist contain tiny droplets of water which acts as particles of the light dispersion in air. Tyndall effect. Properties of colloid. A colloid is a heterogeneous mixture. Colloid is a heterogeneous mixture. Size of particles of the colloid is too small individually seen naked eye. है ना. colloid इसका पार्टिकल क्या होता है? इंडिविजुअली सीन स्मॉल होता है और नेक्ड आई से देख सकते हैं. colloid are being enough to scatter beam of light passing through and make the visible. है ना. स्केटर ऑफ लाइट होगा, बीम ऑफ लाइट पास करेगा, उसके बाद वो हम उसको विजिबल देख सकते हैं. दे कैन नॉट सेटल डाउन when left undisturbed when the colloid are quite stable. They can be separated from the mixture of the process of filtration. और इसको फिल्ट्रेशन मेथड से सेपरेट नहीं कर सकते हैं. बट स्पेशल टेक्निक ऑफ सेपरेट नोन एज सेंट्रीफ्यूगेशन कैन बी यूज सेपरेट द कोलाइड पार्टिकल्स. कोलाइड पार्टिकल्स को फिल्ट्रेशन प्रोसेस से हम सेपरेट नहीं कर सकते हैं, मगर एक स्पेशल टेक्निक है सेंट्रीफ्यूगेशन से जो है हम उसको क्या कर सकते हैं? अलग कर सकते हैं, है ना. ये सेंट्रीफ्यूगेशन उसको ब्लड में जो प्लाज्मा, हीमोग्लोबिन, आरबीसी सबको जो अलग करने के लिए किया जाता है, यही सेंट्रीफ्यूगेशन प्रोसेस. तो इसको अलग कर सकते हैं. 10 कंपोनेंट ऑफ colloidal solution and disperse phase and dispersion medium. The solute like components or the dispersed particles in a colloid form the dispersion phase and the components with the dispersion phase of suspension known as the dispersion medium. This component with the dispersion phase and the substance of the dispersion medium. Colloids are classified according to the tested solid, liquid, and gas. The dispersion medium and the dispersion phase. A few common examples are given in the form of table यूज ये इम्पोर्टेंट टेबल दिया हुआ है डिस्पर्सन फेज का और डिस्पर्सन मीडियम का तो ये कॉमन एग्जांपल ऑफ क्लोइड्स डिस्पर्सन फेज इधर डिस्पर्सन मीडियम डिस्पर्सन फेज लिक्विड गैस एरोसोल लिक्विड गैस एरोसोल और सॉलिड गैस एरोसोल दोनों एरोसोल ही होता है और लिक्विड गैस एरोसोल फॉग क्लाउड मिस्ट फॉग क्लाउड मिस्ट सॉलिड गैस एरोसोल स्मोक ऑटोमोबाइल एग्जॉस्ट सॉलिड गैस लिक्विड गैस सॉलिड गैस दोनों एरोसोल होता है सॉलिड गैस लिक्विड गैस सॉलिड गैस लिक्विड गैस दो एरोसोल होता है सॉलिड लिक्विड और सॉलिड गैस एरोसोल होता है फॉग स्मोक गैस लिक्विड फॉर्म गैस लिक्विड डिस्पर्स क्या गैस और डिस्पर्स मीडियम क्या लिक्विड फॉर्म लिक्विड इमल्सन मिल्क फेस क्रीम सॉलिड लिक्विड सोल मिल्क और मैग्नीशिया और मड गैस सॉलिड फॉर्म गैस लिक्विड भी फॉर्म होता है गैस सॉलिड भी फॉर्म होता है फॉर्म रबर स्पॉन्ज क्यूमिस और लिक्विड सॉलिड जेल जेली चीज़ बटर लिक्विड सॉलिड जेली चीज़ बटर सॉलिड सोल कलर्ड गेमस्टोन मिल्की ग्लास separating the components of a mixture we have learned that most of the natural substances are not chemically pure different methods of separate are used to get individual components from the mixture separation make it possible to study and use the individual components of a mixture heterogeneous mixture can be separated into their respective constituent by simple physical method like hand picking, saving, filtration that we use in our day-to-day life. Heterogeneous mixture can be separated into their respective constituents by simple physical method like hand picking, sieving, filtration, and day-by-day life. Something special technique has been used the separation for components of the mixture. How can we obtain colored components? Dye from blue and black. Half a beaker with water, push the glass or mouth of the beaker. The few drops ink was glass. Start heating the beaker. We do not heat the ink. Heat the ink. You will see the evaporation take place from the vase glass. Continue heating as the evaporation gas on the top heating. We do not see further change on the vase glass. How do you think glass evaporates from the vase glass? There is a choose the glass water intensity with the substance. We find that ink of a mixture of a dye in water. Thus we can separate the volatile component solvent from its non-volatile solid by the method of evaporation. We can separate the volatile component solvent from the non-volatile solute by the method of evaporation. How can we separate cream from milk? Nowadays we get full cream double tone varieties of milk packed in poly packs or Tetra packs in the market. These varieties of milk contain different continuous of fat, amount of fats. Equilibrium in the test tube centrifugate by the using centrifugation machine or two machines. If centrifugation machine is not available to the school, you can do not activities on using milk burner in the kitchen. We have milk dairy nearby the separate one. What do you observe the tuning of the milk of the milk of the separate? Sometimes the solid particles in a solid are very small and pass through a filter paper. For such particles, the filtration technique can cannot be used for separation. Such mixtures are separated by centrifugation. Centrifugation. The principle is that the denser particles are pushed to the bottom of the lighter particles. Instead at the top and the spun rapidly. Applications used to diagnostic laboratories for blood and urine test. Diagnostic blood and urine test used in dairies and home to separate better from cream. Used in washing machine to the switch water and the wet clothes. How can we separate a mixture of two miscible liquids? So let us separate kerosene oil from water using the separate funnel. And for the mixture of kerosene oil and the water separate funnel, let us understand something that separate layer of the oil and the water are formed. Open the stopcock on the separating funnel the pores of the lower layer of the water carefully. Close the pocket of the separate funnel of the oil leaves the stop. Applications. The separate of mixture of oil and water in the extraction of iron from its ore. The lighter slag is removed from the top by the method of leave and the molten iron on the bottom of the furnace. The particle is that immiscible liquid separate out layer of depending their densities. How can we separate a mixture of salt and ammonium chloride? Mixture of salt and ammonium chloride. We have learned in chapter 1 ammonium chloride change directly from the solid to the gaseous state. Heating so separate such mixture that contain a sublimable volatile components from a non-sublimable impurity. Salt in this case, the sublimable process is used. Some example solid which sublime are ammonium chloride, camphor, and naphthalene and anthracene. Is the dye in the black ink a single color? Instead, filter paper drawn line in the user pencil professionally written above lower edge. Put a small drop of ink water soluble, that is its form a sweet pen or fountain pen at the certain of the line. A dry lower at the filter paper into a jar glass. Beaker test tube containing water so that a drop of ink on the paper is just above the water level. So the level of the okay. Watch carefully as the rise of the filter paper. Record of the observation. What do you observe on the filter paper of the water around it? What do you observe different colors on the paper step? What do you according to the precise color of the paper? The ink that we use has water as the solvent and the dye is insoluble in the water. The salt rise to the filter paper and take along the with dye particles. Usually dye is a mixture of two or more colors. The colored components that more soluble in water rise faster and the colored get separate. Components of a mixture known as known as chromatography डाई को सेपरेट करने के लिए प्रोसेस करते हैं क्रोमेटोग्राफी से क्रोमा ग्रीक वर्ड्स मीन कलर दिस टेक्निक was first used in separation of color, so this name is given. Chromatography is the technique used for separation of those solutions and dissolved in the same solvent. With the advance in technology, newer techniques of chromatography have been developed. You will study about chromatography in higher classes. Application to separate color in dye. Pigments from natural colors. Pigments from natural colors. And drug from blood. Thermometer. This method is called distillation. Is the separation of the components of the mixture containing two or miscible liquids that boil without decomposition and have difference of their boiling points. To separate a mixture of two or more miscible liquids which the difference in boiling points is less than 25 Pa. Fractional distillation process is used, for example, for separation of different gases from air, different fractions from petroleum products, etc. The apparatus is small to that for simple distillation, except that a fractionating column is fitted in between the distillation flask and the condenser. A simple fractionation column is double packed with glass beads. The beads provide surface for the vapors of cool and condense rapidly. Thermometer flows, water outlet, water consumption, cold water, mixture, pure natural distillation pumps, and how can we obtain different gases from air? How can we obtain different gases from air? Air is a homogeneous mixture and can be separated into the components by the frictional distillation. Can follow diagrams for the process. Air. If the amount of oxygen gas we have separate all the other gases present of the separate from the increasing the pressure and they cooled decreases the temperature. The liquid air allowed to warm up slowly in the frictional distillation column where gases get separated but different heights depending upon their boiling points. Answer the following. Arrangement the gases present in the air increasing order the different boiling points which the liquids can air is cold. How can we obtain pure copper sulfate from unimpure samples? Take the example. Copper sulfate and the China dish dissolve a minimum amount of water, filter impurities out in proportion amount of copper sulfate solution makes solution. Cover the solution with a filter paper and leave the under disturbed at the room temperature. Cool slowly the development of the crystals copper sulfate and China dish. The process of called crystallization. Advanced scientists crystallization method is used to purify solid. For example, the salt we get from seawater. And the impurities in it. To remove these impurities, the process of crystallization is used. Crystallization is the process of the separate the pure solid in the form of crystals from the solution. Crystallization technique the better than the simple evaporation techniques. Some solids decompose or some like sugar may be charred and heating to the tank. Some impurities may remain dissolved in the solution even the filtration on the evaporation this contaminated on the solid. हेलो BPCTRE 4 लाइब्रेरी में नहीं रूम पे हैं Some solids decompose or some like sugar may get charged and heating. Some impurities may remain dissolved in the solution even after filtration. On the evaporation, this contaminated the solids. Applications: purification of salt. We get from sea water. Separation of crystals of iron from the impurities. Thus, the choosing one of the above methods according to the nature of the components of the mixture. We get the substance advanced in the technology. More method separation techniques with the device. In cities, drinking water is supplies from water works. A follow diagram of a typical water works on this figure work down process involves to get the supply of drinking water and your home from water works and discuss it in your class. Physical and chemical change. To understand the difference between the pure substance and the mixture, let us understand the difference between the physical and the chemical changes. In the previous chapter, we have learned about the few physical properties of a matter. The properties can be observed that specified hair color, eye like color, hardness, rigidity, fluidity, density, melting point, boiling point are the physical properties. The interconnection of state is physical change because the change occurs without a change in the composition and no change in the chemical nature of the substance. Although ice, water, and water vapor are the two different physical properties of the chemical are the same. Both water and cooking of the liquid as the chemical characteristics are different. They differ order of chemistry is known company of the reaction. These chemical properties of the oil make the difference from the better burning. The chemical change during the process can substance react with another to undergo a change in chemical composition. Chemical change bring change in the chemical properties of the matter and get the substance. A chemical change and the called are chemical reactions. During burning of candle, both physical or chemical changes take place. Can you change this? Burning of candle, both physical and chemical changes take place. What are the types of pure substances? On the basic chemical composition substances can be classified either as either compounds, elements. Robert Boiler was the first scientist to use the term element in 1661 and Anthony Laurent Levasseur 1743 to 94. The French chemist was often useful definition of the element defined of the element of basic form the matter and cannot be broken down into a simpler substance and by the chemical reaction. Elements can be normally divided into metals and non-metals and metalloids. Metals usually show some or all of the following properties. They have luster sign. They have luster sign. Metal properties have their luster sign. They have silvery gray and golden yellow color. Silvery gray and golden yellow color. The conduct heat and electricity, और मतलब क्या conduct heat electricity. They are ductile and drawn into the wire. Ductile नेचर का होता है और उसे वायर में हम कन्वर्ट कर सकते हैं. They are malleable, can be hung the thin sheet, और thin sheet में इसको ये कर सकते हैं, बना सकते हैं. They are sonorous, make the ring of sound. Sonorous मतलब ये साउंड भी होता है. Example of metals are gold, silver, copper, आयरन, सोडियम, पोटासियम, ये सब क्या है, मेटल्स है. एंड etc. Mercury is the only metal that is solid at room temperature. मरकरी जो है इज ओनली मेटल है जो लिक्विड एट रूम टेम्परेचर. मरकरी. Non-metal usually show some or all of the following properties. They display a variety of colors. They are poor conductor of heat and electricity. They are poor conductor of heat and electricity. They are not lustrous, sonorous, or malleable. They are not lustrous, sonorous, or malleable. Example of non-metals of hydrogen. Non-metals of hydrogen, ऑक्सीजन, आयोडीन, कार्बन, कोल एंड कोक, ये सब नॉन मेटल. ब्रोमीन जो है नॉन मेटल है, लेकिन ये इसमें रहता है, लिक्विड फॉर्म में रहता है. ये भी लिक्विड फॉर्म में रहता है. ब्रोमीन, क्लोरीन, ये ब्रोमीन नॉन मेटल है जो लिक्विड फॉर्म में रहता है. और मेटल जो है, मेटल में मरकरी जो है वो रूम टेम्परेचर लिक्विड फॉर्म में रहता है ना. बस ये मेटल है, ये ब्रोमीन नॉन मेटल है, दोनों का सेम है. They have the intermediate properties between those of the metal and non-metals. They are called metalloids. मेटल और नॉन मेटल दोनों का प्रॉपर्टी जिसमें होगा उसको मेटलॉइड कहेंगे. मेटल और नॉन मेटल दोनों का कॉल्ड. एग्जाम्पल और बोरोन क्या है, मेटलॉइड है. सिलिकॉन क्या है, मेटलॉइड है. जर्मेनियम क्या है, वो मेटलॉइड है. The number of elements known at present are more than 119. Two elements are naturally occurring and the rest of the man-made. Majority of the elements are solid. Even elements are gaseous state at room temperature. Two elements are liquid at room temperature. Mercury and bromine है ना. टू जो है एलिमेंट की बात कहा है. आर द लिक्विड एट रूम टेम्परेचर. मरकरी क्या है, मेटल है. मरकरी मेटल है और ये रूम टेम्परेचर पे लिक्विड में रहता है. और ब्रोमीन क्या है, नॉन मेटल है और ये रूम टेम्परेचर पे मतलब लिक्विड में रहता है. ये मेटल है, ये नॉन मेटल है. एलिमेंट्स गैलियम एंड सीजियम बिकम लिक्विड एट द टेम्परेचर. ये दोनों भी गैलियम एंड सीजियम रूम टेम्परेचर पे लिक्विड है. स्लाइटली अबव द रूम टेम्परेचर, थोड़ा सा रूम टेम्परेचर थोड़ा सा ज़्यादा है ना. रूम टेम्परेचर से थोड़ा सा ज़्यादा पे लिक्विड में हो जाता है. कंपाउंड्स. ए कंपाउंड्स इज सब्सटेंस composed of two or more elements chemically combined with one another in a fixed proportion. Naturally combined with another of fixed proportion. What is the more elements and compounds? अब यहाँ पे मिक्सचर एंड कंपाउंड का डिफरेंस दिया हुआ है. एलिमेंट्स और कंपाउंड्स जस्ट मिक्स टुगेदर फॉर्म ए मिक्सचर एंड नो न्यू कंपाउंड्स. है ना। इसमें दो कंपाउंड को, दो एलिमेंट को मिलाएंगे, कंपाउंड को मिलाएंगे तो मिक्सचर बनेगा, और यह न्यू सब्सटेंस नहीं बनता इसमें। न्यू सब्सटेंस आर फॉर्मेट, नो न्यू सब्सटेंस कंपाउंड्स आर फॉर्मेट, सब्सटेंस कंपाउंड्स दो नहीं बनता है, और एलिमेंट्स टेक्स टू फॉर्म न्यू कंपाउंड्स, और कंपाउंड्स में न्यू कंपाउंड फॉर्म होता है, मिक्सचर में न्यू कंपाउंड फॉर्म नहीं होता है। यह मिक्सचर हैज़ ए वेरिएबल कंपोजिशन, मिक्सचर हैज़ ए वेरिएबल कंपोजिशन, द कंपोजिशन ऑफ ईच न्यू सब्सटेंस इज ऑलवेज फिक्स्ड, और न्यू सब्सटेंस जो बनेगा वो फिक्स रहेगा। The mixture shows the properties of the constituent substance. The substance has totally different properties होगा जो भी बनेगा different. The constituent can be separated fairly easily physical method, और इसको सेपरेट कर सकते हैं फिजिकल मेथड से। constituent can be separate only the chemical और electrochemical reactions, और इसमें कंपाउंड्स को जो है फिजिकल से अलग नहीं कर सकते हैं, सेपरेट नहीं कर सकते हैं, लेकिन केमिकल और इलेक्ट्रोकेमिकल रिएक्शन से अलग कर सकते हैं। यही इसका डिफरेंस दिया हुआ है। मेथड ऑफ नॉट टीचर द गैस ऑब्टेन्ड ग्रुप वन इज हाइड्रोजन, ग्रुप वन इज हाइड्रोजन इज ए कलरलेस, हाइड्रोजन कलरलेस और odorless and combustible, is not wise to not the combustion test for hydrogen in the class. The compound earth group 2 hydrogen sulfide. It is the colorless gas with smell of rotten eggs. Rotten eggs. You must have observed the produce obtained highly decreased properties to the starting materials where the same groups rate of the derived activity. Physical change varied of the case of group 2. The chemical change, chemical reaction takes place. The material obtained from the good mixture of the two substances or substance element iron and sulfur. The properties of mixture can be same as the constituent. The material obtained by the elements by group of two compounds. On heating of two elements strongly we get compounds with totally different properties compared to the obtaining elements. The compound components of the obtaining method also observe the mixture of the compounds are the same throughout. Thus we can summarize the physical and chemical nature of the following graphical and organizer. ये खत्म होने वाला है। मैटर जो सॉलिड लिक्विड गैस दो टाइप का होता है, जो प्योर सब्सटेंस और मिक्सचर। नो फिक्स्ड कंपोजिशन, एलिमेंट कंपाउंड होमोजीनियस हेट्रोजीनियस, एलिमेंट कैन बी ब्रोकन विद सिंपल सब्सटेंस, इसको ब्रेक नहीं कर सकते हैं सिंपल सब्सटेंस। कंपाउंड है फिक्स्ड कंपोजिशन एंड ब्रोकन डाउन इनटू स्मॉलर केमिकल इलेक्ट्रोमैग्नेटिक, और इसको क्या कर सकते हैं, ब्रेक कर सकते हैं केमिकल और इलेक्ट्रोकेमिकल रिएक्शन से। एग्जांपल कॉपर, ऑक्सीजन, आयरन, नाइट्रोजन, इसका वाटर, मीथेन, शुगर, सॉल्ट। होमोजीनियस मिक्सचर, हेट्रोजीनियस मिक्सचर, यूनिफॉर्म कंपोजिशन या नॉन यूनिफॉर्म कंपोजिशन। एग्जांपल शुगर, वाटर, सॉल्ट, वाटर सल्फर इन कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड, वाटर एंड अल्कोहल। हेट्रोजीनियस का होता है सैंड एंड सॉल्ट, वाट, शुगर एंड सॉल्ट, वुड एंड blood, water in oven. A mixture contains more than one substance, element or compounds. Mixture in any portion. A mixture contains more than one substance, element and a compound of mixture of the proportion. Mixture can be separated into pure substance using appropriate separation techniques. A solution is a homogeneous mixture of two or more substances. A major component of the solution is called solvent. The minor or solute. The concentration of the solution of the amount of the solute present per unit volume and per unit mass of the solution solvent. Material that are insoluble in the solvent and have particles that are visible and naked eye from the suspension, and suspension is a heterogeneous mixture, है ना। सस्पेंशन इज ए हेट्रोजीनियस मिक्सचर, उसको नेक्ड आई से देख सकते हैं। कोलाइड आर द हेट्रोजीनियस मिक्सचर in which particle size too small and seen by naked eyes. Heterogeneous mixture naked eye with big enough to scatter light हो सकता है। Collide are the useful industry and daily life. The particles are called dispersion phase and medium phase, which they are disturbance of the dispersion medium. Pure substance can be elements, compounds, and the form of the matter is cannot be broken down into chemical reaction into simpler substance. सिंपलर सब्सटेंस एलिमेंट को तो छोटे छोटे सब्सटेंस में नहीं तोड़ सकते हैं, लेकिन उसको तोड़ सकते हैं, कंपाउंड को तोड़ सकते हैं। कैसे तोड़ सकते हैं? केमिकल मेथड से या इलेक्ट्रोकेमिकल रिएक्शन से। The different elements and the combined properties are common different from the constituent element, whereas mixtures show properties of the constituent element of the compounds. The compound. पूरे 1 घंटा लग गया होगा। अमोनियम क्लोराइड के फुल नेप्थोलियन डाई को किस तरह सेपरेट कर सकते? क्रोमेटोग्राफी में डाई को सेपरेट कर सकते हैं। कोलाइड सस्पेंशन हेट्रोजीनियस मिक्सचर है, उसको नेक्ड आई से देख सकते हैं। सस्पेंशन सॉल्यूशन होमोजीनियस मिक्सचर, उसको नेक्ड आई से नहीं देख सकते हैं। सॉल्यूशन क्या है? होमोजीनियस मिक्सचर है और उसको नेक्ड आई से नहीं देख सकते हैं। उसका डायमीटर, सॉल्यूशन का डायमीटर होता है 1 नैनोमीटर 1 नैनोमीटर बराबर 10 टू पावर 9 मीटर होता है डायमीटर। और इसमें स्कैटरिंग ऑफ लाइट नहीं होता है, नॉट इन इफेक्ट दिखाता है। और इसको फिल्ट्रेशन से इसको सेपरेट नहीं कर सकते हैं, उसके लिए अलग मेथड अप्लाई करेंगे। चलिए, तो आज का एक चैप्टर ख़त्म हो गया। फिर 10 बजे रात में मिलते हैं जीके जीएस की क्लास में। चलिए, चैप्टर 2 कंप्लीट हो गया। पूरे 1 घंटा लग गया इस चैप्टर 2 पढ़ने में। काफ़ी समय लगता है इसको पढ़ने में। हो जाएगा चैप्टर 2 कंप्लीट। चलिए, तो मिलते हैं। ठीक।